They called him Ghost. Not because he was quiet, though he was. Not because he had one cloudy eye that never blinked quite right. It was because he moved like a shadow, always pacing, always watching. Shelter staff said he was a retired military K-9. But no records were clear. No medals. Just scars. And silence. Dog won't eat unless it's at night, one worker muttered. Still thinks he's on patrol. Kids would come to adopt puppies, all wagging tails and floppy ears. But no one ever paused at Ghost's cage. He'd just stand there, one eye fixed, the other lost in white. Not growling. Not begging. Just waiting, like he was expecting orders that would never come. Until one rainy Thursday, Jacob arrived with his mother. Small kid. 9 years old. Hair a little too long, shoulders hunched like he was always cold. He didn't say a word, not even when asked his name. His mom, tired and quiet, just said, "We're here to try." She meant try to find something, someone, that might help her son speak again. Since the fire, he hadn't said a word. Therapists gave up. Teachers said he was just adjusting. But Jacob's eyes still screamed. They passed cage after cage. Dogs barked, begged for attention. Ghost didn't move. And then Jacob stopped. He stood right in front of Ghost's kennel. Stared into that one good eye. Ghost stared back. Not a growl. Not a whimper. Just two broken souls frozen in the same kind of silence. Jacob reached forward. Slowly. Ghost didn't flinch. "I like him," Jacob whispered. His mom gasped. Her eyes filled instantly. "Jacob, you spoke." He didn't look at her. Just pressed his small palm against the wire. Ghost pressed his nose to meet it. The shelter worker nearly dropped his clipboard. "Well, I'll be." They took Ghost home that same day. The first few nights were rough. Ghost didn't bark. Didn't play. He just paced the hallway like he was guarding something. Every few hours, he'd stop by Jacob's door, sit, and listen. One night, Jacob opened the door. "You can come in," he said. Ghost did. And from then on, they slept in the same room. Jacob's nightmares faded. His mom began hearing soft whispers in the hallway, Jacob talking to the dog, telling him things no one else had heard. "I don't remember the fire. Just that everything went black. Like your eye." Ghost would just nuzzle his hand. Days turned into weeks. Jacob laughed again. He ate more. And one morning, he even offered to go back to school. His mom cried behind the bathroom door, clutching a towel to her face. Everyone called it a miracle. But Ghost hadn't changed. He still scanned windows. Still sniffed at locked doors. Still woke in the night, ears sharp, body tense. "He's protecting something," the vet once said, examining him. "But he doesn't know it's over." Jacob's mom nodded. "Maybe it's not." One day, while brushing Ghost's fur, Jacob found something odd. A faded tag under the collar. Not the shelters. Not the vets. Just numbers. Worn out and strange. "Mom," Jacob called. "What does this mean?" She looked at it. Her face changed. "I don't know," she said. But she took a photo of it anyway. That night, she emailed it to a friend in the military. Just curious. The reply came fast. "Where did you get this dog?" She didn't reply. But she started locking the doors at night. Double-checking the windows. Ghost, meanwhile, kept his post. And then, something strange happened. A black SUV drove by the house. Twice. Slowed each time. No plates. Ghost stood at the window, growling low. First time they'd ever heard him growl. "Is someone looking for you?" Jacob asked, gently rubbing his ear. Ghost didn't look away. Whatever that number meant, someone knew. And they were coming. It started like any other evening. Jacob finished his homework early, pet Ghost, and went up to his room. Or so his mother thought. By the time dinner was ready, the house was quiet. "Jacob," she called from the kitchen. No answer. She checked his room, empty. Window open. Panic shot through her. She ran outside, yelling his name. Still nothing. Neighbors joined in. Flashlights lit up backyards. Someone called the police. "He never does this," she said, voice shaking. "He's never done this." But Jacob was already deep in the woods behind their home. He hadn't planned to go. It was like something pulled him, like a whisper, faint and warm. A smell, maybe. A flicker of memory. He didn't know. He just knew he had to follow it. Each step felt both terrifying and familiar. Trees grew taller. The sun dipped lower. Shadows stretched. But Jacob didn't turn back. Just a little more, he whispered to himself. Back home, sirens arrived. Search teams assembled. They brought thermal drones, dogs and maps. But the forest was vast, the sun nearly gone. That's when Ghost broke through the screen door. He didn't bark, didn't wait. He just ran, head low, nose working fast. Ghost! Jacob's mom cried, but the dog was already gone. One officer reached out to stop him. Let him go, she said, her voice breaking. He'll find him. Ghost moved like lightning. No hesitation. No confusion. As if he'd done this 1,000 times. He darted past fences, across ditches, through thorny brush. The world behind him faded. All that mattered was Jacob. He caught the boy's scent fast. And something else. Smoke. Not real smoke, but the memory of it. Burnt wood. Melted plastic. The smell that still haunted Jacob's dreams. Ghost stopped for a moment. Turned in a tight circle. Then bolted down a narrow path, old and nearly swallowed by leaves. Meanwhile, Jacob slowed. His legs hurt. The wind turned cold. And for the first time, fear crept in. Where am I? He whispered. A branch snapped. He turned too fast, and slipped. The ground gave way beneath him. He tumbled down a steep embankment, landing hard. A thick log pinned his leg. He tried to scream but couldn't. He was stuck, alone. The sky above turned gray. I want to go home, he sobbed. Hours passed. Rescuers scanned maps, walked in circles. They found nothing. Jacob's mom clutched his blanket back home, rocking in silence. Please, she whispered. Please find him. Then, deep in the forest, a shadow moved. Silent, fast. Ghost sniffed the air. He caught the scent, strong now. Sweat. Dirt. Blood. He ran faster. Jacob had stopped crying. He was too cold. Too tired. That's when he heard it. Crunching leaves. A soft huff. He blinked. Ghost. The dog appeared through the brush, eyes locked on him. Ghost. Jacob cried, voice cracking. You found me. Ghost leapt down the slope, sniffed him quickly, and lay across Jacob's chest. His body blocked the wind. His heat spread over the boy. Back at base, one of the officers froze. A GPS blip had pinged Ghost's collar. Got something, he yelled. Rescuers rushed out again, guided by the signal. They arrived just after midnight. And what they saw stopped them cold. The boy, trapped and shaking, protected by a one-eyed dog who had refused to leave. He saved him, one rescuer whispered. But as they lifted Jacob onto a stretcher, one officer glanced at Ghost's collar. He frowned. Wait, these numbers don't match the shelter records. That same unease from days ago came back. Because Ghost wasn't just any dog. And now, the right people were noticing. The rescue team had just started to move in when the first raindrops fell. Within minutes, it turned into a storm. Wind screamed through the trees. Flashlights flickered. Radios crackled. Branches snapped above their heads like bones breaking. We need to pull back, one searcher shouted, shielding his eyes from the pouring rain. Another hesitated. But the dog's still out there. Ghost didn't wait for humans. He didn't care about thunder or falling limbs. He moved like a shadow, low to the ground, crawling under thickets, mud coating his belly. His fur was soaked. His bad eye squinted against the wind. But he kept going. He was trained for chaos. For danger. And something inside him had woken up again. The scent was fading, washed by the rain, but Ghost pressed on. He slid down a ravine, stumbled, then climbed up the other side with pure force. His paws bled, but he didn't slow down. Suddenly, there. A soft sound. Faint. A whimper. Ghost froze. Turned his head. Listened. Then bolted toward it. Jacob was barely visible beneath a fallen tree, soaked and pale. One leg was twisted under the log. His eyes were half closed, lips blue. Ghost crawled to him, nudged his face gently. No response. "Stay with me," Ghost would have said if he could. Instead, he did what he could do, lay across the boy, wrapping his body around him, shielding him from the wind, sharing his heat. Time slowed. Lightning flashed above them. Thunder cracked. But Ghost didn't move. Back at the search base, radios screamed back to life. GPS hit. "We've got a signal from the dog's collar." Coordinates were shouted. Maps were grabbed. The rescue team raced back into the storm, this time knowing where to go. It took them nearly an hour to get there. And when they did, what they found silenced everyone. Jacob, unconscious, but breathing. And Ghost, curled over him like a soldier over a fallen comrade. They rushed to lift the log. Ghost backed away slowly, watching. Jacob's hand twitched. His mouth moved. "Cold," he whispered. One rescuer leaned over him. "You're safe now. We've got you." Another scanned Ghost's collar, trying to identify the dog for records. But the scanner beeped twice. Then displayed a red screen. "Error, restricted tag. Contact HQ immediately." The rescuer blinked. "What the?" He scanned again. Same alert. Another rescuer leaned in. "It's a military chip. Old, but it's still active." They exchanged looks. One of them pulled out a satellite phone. Back at the base, Jacob was loaded into an ambulance. His mother sobbed as she climbed in beside him, clutching his hand. Ghost tried to follow, but an officer gently blocked him. "Hold on, boy. Let's get you checked first." Ghost didn't growl, but he didn't take his eye off that ambulance until it drove out of sight. Meanwhile, the man with the satellite phone stepped aside, voice low. "Yes. We found him. And the dog, too." "No, sir. It's the same tag." "Yes, Ghost." There was a pause. Then the man stiffened. "Understood. We'll secure him." He hung up and turned to the others. "Someone's coming to collect the dog." Another rescuer frowned. "But he just saved the kid. Why take him?" No one answered. Because none of them knew the full truth yet. But they would. And it would change everything. Ghost was still sitting outside the hospital doors when the black car pulled up. Two men stepped out. Military coats. Straight faces. No hesitation. They walked right past Jacob's mother, straight into the ER. "Where's the dog?" one of them asked a nurse. She looked confused. He's outside." They turned and marched back out. Jacob's mom stepped between them and Ghost. "Can I help you?" "We're here for the animal," one said flatly. "The K9. He has a name," she replied. "It's Ghost. And he's not going anywhere." The taller one pulled a paper from his coat. "According to this, he's government property." "He just saved my son's life," she snapped. "And you're treating him like stolen equipment?" The man didn't blink. "We need his file. And his collar." "Absolutely not." The men exchanged a glance. "He's connected to a classified mission," the other one said, voice lower now. "A mission with civilian casualties." His tag matched an old code that should have been retired. Jacob's mom folded her arms. "That doesn't sound like the full story." "Doesn't matter. We're not here to explain. We're here to retrieve." A crowd had gathered now. Nurses. Visitors. Even a local officer who'd helped in the search. "You're not taking him," the officer said. "Not without a proper warrant." The military men backed off, for now. "We'll return," the shorter one muttered, before turning to leave. But as he passed Jacob's mom, he slipped something into her coat pocket. A small folded note. She didn't notice until later, after they were gone. She opened it with shaking fingers. He was framed. "Start with mission M237, Turkey. Don't trust the file." Her heart dropped. She turned to Ghost, who was finally resting by Jacob's hospital bed. One eye open. Always watching. "What did they do to you?" she whispered. That night, she couldn't sleep. The words echoed in her head. She sat at the kitchen table, laptop open. She typed M237K9 Turkey, and hit wall after wall. Redacted reports. Dead links. One news article mentioned a failed operation involving a K9 handler and a building collapse. No names. No photos. Except one. A blurry image of a dog leaping through rubble, one eye already damaged. Ghost. She gasped. It was him. But the caption chilled her. Dog responsible for failed rescue that led to civilian deaths. Handler retired. Dog decommissioned. That can't be right, she muttered. She showed the photo to Jacob the next morning. He stared at it. That's Ghost. Yes. But they're blaming him for something. Jacob shook his head. He didn't do anything wrong. Sweetheart, how do you know? Because he listens. He waits. He protects. Ghost doesn't hurt people. She held him close. Then maybe we need to prove that. Jacob nodded. We have to. They reached out to veterans, online forums, even a retired military dog handler group. Days passed. Most people didn't respond. But then, someone did. Sergeant Avery. Retired K9 unit. His message was short. I knew Ghost. And I knew what they did. Meet me. Jacob's mom stared at the screen, breath caught in her throat. Looks like the truth's still alive, she whispered. And Ghost? He stayed at the window that night, eyes locked on the dark road outside. Because deep down he knew. Someone else was coming. And this time, they wouldn't be asking. Jacob sat at the kitchen table, clutching Ghost's collar tightly in his hand. His eyes were clear now. His voice steady. I'm not letting them take him, he said. He's not bad. He saved me. His mom looked at him, proud but afraid. I know, sweetheart. But people don't always care about the truth. Then we make them care. She hesitated for a long moment, then nodded. They went public. She posted Jacob's story on social media, how a silent boy found his voice because of a dog no one wanted. She included photos of Ghost with Jacob in the hospital, wrapped in the blanket he wouldn't let go of. The post went viral overnight. People commented from all over the world. That dog's a hero. Why is the military trying to take him? We need answers. And then a name appeared in the messages. Sergeant Avery. A private message read, I knew Ghost. He was mine before everything fell apart. I still have the video. They met in a quiet park, just outside of town. The man was older now, with tired eyes and a limp in his right leg. But when he saw Ghost, something shifted in his face. He remembered you, Jacob said quietly. Avery nodded. He always did have a steel trap of a mind. They sat on a bench. Avery pulled out a battered flash drive. This was never supposed to get out, he said. But it's time. The footage was raw, grainy. The screen shook with motion and shouting. But it was clear enough. A woman screamed in the background. A child cried. Then an order came through the radio. Stand down. Buildings compromised. But the video showed something else. Ghost didn't charge in blindly. He waited. He listened. Then he broke from cover, not to attack, but to shield a small child from falling debris. He dragged the kid behind a wall just before the roof caved in. Seconds later, chaos exploded. Smoke. Dust. Screams. But nowhere, did Ghost hurt anyone. He disobeyed the call to retreat because the child was still inside. Avery paused the video. They blamed him for the building collapse, he said. Said he was out of control. That he caused the deaths. But that's not what happened, Jacob's mom whispered. No. He followed his training. But someone higher up needed a scapegoat. They uploaded the video online. It spread like wildfire. News stations picked it up. Influencers reposted it. Military forums lit up with questions and outrage. #JusticeForGhost started trending within hours. A well-known animal rights group offered legal support. A former JAG lawyer volunteered to file a motion blocking any transfer of Ghost without a hearing. Jacob watched all of it happen from the couch, Ghost's head resting on his lap. You're not a bad dog, he whispered. They just lied. And for the first time, Ghost seemed to relax completely. No pacing. No watching the door. Just breathing, deep and slow. Then came the call. The Department of Defense issued a statement. We are reviewing new evidence in the M237 incident. Until further notice, K9 Unit Ghost will remain in the custody of his current guardians. It wasn't justice. Not yet. But it was a crack in the wall. Sergeant Avery looked at Jacob and smiled. You started something, kid. But Ghost wasn't looking at the screen or Avery. His ears perked. His head lifted slightly. Out on the street, an engine idled for too long. Because even as the world rallied behind him, one last shadow hadn't moved. It took 2 more weeks before the final decision came in. The Department of Defense sent a plain email. No apology. No explanation. Just one line. The case is closed. The dog is to remain with the current guardian. All claims rescinded. Ghost was cleared. Jacob's mom read it aloud, tears in her eyes. Jacob didn't say anything. He just threw his arms around Ghost and held him tight. "You're free now," he whispered. Words spread fast. Reporters called. Emails poured in. But what mattered most to Jacob wasn't the news or the attention. It was what the school decided to do. A week later, the principal made an announcement over the intercom. "Students and families, please join us this Friday for a special assembly to honor one of our own." Friday came. The sky was clear. A soft breeze drifted across the schoolyard. Students filled the field. Teachers lined the sidewalk. Parents clutched phones and wiped at their eyes before anything had even started. Jacob walked out with Ghost at his side. Ghost didn't wear a leash. He didn't need one. He walked proudly, chest high, head steady. The principal stepped up to the microphone. "Sometimes, heroes don't wear uniforms. And sometimes, they don't walk on 2 legs. Today we honor a life that gave protection, loyalty, and love, even when the world turned its back." She reached down and clipped a medal onto Ghost's collar. Silver. Simple. It glinted in the sunlight. "Ghost," she said, voice trembling, "you are no longer forgotten. You are honored." The crowd erupted in cheers. Some kids stood on benches just to get a better look. A few even cried. But Jacob didn't see the crowd. He was on his knees, arms around Ghost's neck. "They finally know," he whispered. "They know you're good." Ghost licked his cheek. Just once. Then he lay down right there, in the middle of the grass, like he'd been waiting for this moment to rest. Jacob stayed beside him the whole time. At home, things were quiet again. Ghost no longer paced the hallway. He didn't stop at doors or windows. He slept by Jacob's bed, peaceful and still. Sergeant Avery stopped by with a small wooden box. "This belonged to him," he said. "From his first mission. Thought you should have it." Inside was Ghost's original tag, a black and white photo of him and Avery, and a patch that read "Never Left Behind." Jacob's mom placed the box on the mantel. "We'll never forget," she said. Time passed. Jacob healed. He spoke more, laughed louder, slept better. And Ghost, he grew older. His fur turned grayer. His steps slower. But his eyes? They never stopped watching Jacob. Not with worry anymore, but with pride. Years later, when Jacob told the story at a school project, kids listened like it was a fairy tale. "One-eyed dog saves boy. Gets framed. Then proves everyone wrong," he said. That was Ghost. And when people ask if it really happened, Jacob just smiles and says, "Look it up." He has a medal. Because heroes come in all forms. Some wear badges. Some wear scars. And some wear nothing but loyalty. Ghost's mission ended the day he lay still on that school field, finally at peace. But his story? It still walks beside those who believe that loyalty doesn't die. It just waits to be remembered. If Ghost's story moved you, if you believe that no loyal heart should ever be forgotten, share this video with someone who needs to remember what true loyalty looks like. Comment below. Do you think animals remember more than we know? And if you've ever had a pet who changed your life, tell us their name. Let's keep their stories alive, just like Ghost's.